Middle Ages children, they slept much better than they do nowadays as well. But of course, on the other hand, they didn't have any Netflix or something either. So the whole budget varies, for instance. The big Bruce has their own blue pass right there in the corner, very close by to that church. It's a youth hostel nowadays. If you are interested in renting kayaks, that's the place to be. So back at the harbor here. Here's some, here, that's noise from the 13th century. That is quite rare. Yes, we already had reggae in the years 1200. On the other side there, you see the brick facade with the two golden swans. In that building, there was a bar and brewery called The Swan. It was the most popular, the most famous bar that we had here in the city. Also, most probably, because it was a house of pleasure. The red light district. Here in the street, you can see this, the entire hotel, right? Now, you see this facade here, the 1, 2, 3, 4, that is all the Marriott Hotel. Used to be all separate buildings, right? Which is no longer the case, but that is the policy, considering historic buildings here. The facades are always protected, and behind them you can more or less do whatever you want to do, really. And which is the reason that we have this beautiful example, actually, of that policy. In yellow, this was your house, so to speak. This was the guild house of the unfree boatmen, the foreign, the non-Gentian boatmen who needed to pay toll or taxes. So the anchors, they symbolize skippers, boatmen, and the lions, Flemish. We had the Gentian and Flemish boatmen. So, you know, not many people could read or write, so we used pictures, pictograms, so people could understand. So we can read many facades, many buildings, ornaments, like we would read any sort of text nowadays. The information is lost, just some things, but enough about the harbor. Let's get out to, shall we? Underneath the Cross Bridge. See the roof there? Swings open. The mechanism of these types of bridges was actually invented by Leonardo da Vinci, one and all. We also covered fish markets from the 17th century, right in front of us here. It's a multifunctional building, an event hall, party hall. You can rent it, parties, weddings, events, divorces, or whatever that makes you happy. The visitor information center is right there as well. Just like in restaurants, but they separate meat from fish to avoid contamination. Right? Same thing with marketplaces. So we have fish on the left-hand side, we have meat on the other side. The Great Butcher's Hall, the covered meat market, from the 15th century. This is being restored currently. We already start seeing the contrast. And it will become a parking lot for 400 bicycles for the next 10 years. That's another beautiful example of Belgian compromise, because only the mobility department had enough money to pay for the renovations, which could be used on one condition, yes, that it would become a parking lot for 300 bicycles. Now we have like 100,000 bicycles in the city. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the most famous Belgian in the world. Any idea? The most famous one. Poirot? Yeah, some people say it, yeah, he is very famous, but it's not the man I'm looking for. I'll help you. It's a small statue in Brussels, in the capital. This little boy, he's naked.
Mannequin piece.
Mannequin piece, the one and only mannequin piece. That's right. Now we have one right here in Ghent as well. So right there, see the white facade, 3 small statues, and in the middle, there he is. Yes, with 2 little girlfriends, on the left and on the right. Janneke Spis, as we call them. Yes, officially we have 3 Manneke Spis in Brussels, right here, and in Gravensteen, so it's like 40 kilometers outside of the city. But in reality we have 19 of them. Yes? And little naked boy, whether he peed or not, used to be the mascot, the symbol of the guild of the tanners, the old leather factories, who used ammoniac out of urine to soften animal skins, make it bendable, to make bags, clothing, saddles, whatever out of it. And then in this neighborhood, right here on the left-hand side, we had plenty of those old types of leather factories. This is the oldest neighborhood in the city, Paters Hall. Used to be a very poor, rough neighborhood till the late 70s, early 80s, let's say. Nowadays it has become the most expensive and exclusive part of town. So it goes. But I always advise visitors, please get in this neighborhood, close your eyes a bit and, well, try to get lost, really, as deliberately as possible. It is truly the best way to experience the very well preserved medieval nature of it, as it is nothing more, nothing less than the historical soul of our city. This neighborhood, very beautiful. Go and check it out. Still on the left-hand side, the House of Allen. It's our folk art museum. This building dates from the 14th century. It's a museum now where you can discover how people lived in the past. The cheapest bar, cheapest pub of the city is right here as well. To hydrate, it's very important, of course. But it used to be a gold house. A gold house was a refuge for old women. And in the 14th, 15th century, an old woman was like 35 years old. That was pretty old. Perhaps you already had 15 or 20 children, you know, no excellent conditions. The men were already dead by then. The average age of a man, a boy, was 25 years old, and lots of battles, etc. So the old women who didn't have, you know, any meaning, any money, anything like that, they could stay there, have some roof over their head, a place to sleep, something to eat, and to drink, on one condition, that they would pray from the early morning to the late evening. That was the deal, you know. It was that praying or perishing on the streets, really. So they could stay there. Here on the left-hand side, so it's already a bit of Christmas here, Christmas feeling to it. And this is the backside here of one of the oldest streets of the city, one of the most beautiful streets, I would say. It's called Oud Brugg. And well, nowadays you can find many restaurants here with dishes from all around the world. There's something for everyone, not exclusively here, of course. I mean, you go anywhere, you make your own choices, you follow your intuition, etc. But it's very nice. Very nice street as well. These are all restaurants now. Used to be all breweries, all beer breweries. Used to have almost 300 breweries in the city. Now only 2. Well, 3 actually, yes. 2.5, let's say. That was something completely different, perhaps. This apartment building in front of us was chosen, elected by us, the people of Ghent, 13 years ago, to be the most ugly building in the city. Yeah, it's a beautiful example of a rather ugly building. Probably with the best view in the city, as you perhaps can imagine. But now, to be honest, we have 5 ugly buildings. And these 5 so-called ugly buildings, of course, are the main reason that the historic center of our city in its whole is not accepted on the UNESCO list of World Heritage, because these so-called ugly buildings are built too tall and too close by the historic center, which is the reason. Same thing counts apparently for a city like Amsterdam, for instance, beautiful historic city, but lots of new buildings. That's not what the people of UNESCO want to see. We don't mind, you know. We have 2 ways of dealing with reality. Or we make jokes about it, or we organize a festival around it. It's mostly one of those things. I think that is very polite. We are actually hometown of the largest European city festival, the Ghent Feasts. Quite an adventure. Every July